Gina's cheating scene, caught it. As soon as I returned from my business trip, my MIL triumphantly blurted that out. Cheating scene? With no recollection whatsoever, I had no choice but to ask her about it. Thinking that I was evading the issue, my MIL, with even more force in her voice, continued in a tone that seemed to say, I'm cornering the culprit right now. I set up a hidden camera in the car. Lately, there have been things in our family's belongings that don't belong. Moreover, several times it was men's stuff. I've been suspicious that someone other than our family has been riding in it. I became convinced when you took the car's recorder for repairs. I thought you were trying to destroy the evidence under the guise of repairs. So, you went on a business trip by car. You've been going to your affairs place, avoiding being recorded by the drive recorder. But too bad, I had a camera ready. I've got it all on film. There were 2 cars in my in-laws' house, and one of them was used by all of us, including me. A car shared by everyone had a drive recorder with an in-car recording function installed. Presumably, my MIL installed it to prove my affair. So when I sent it for repairs, she must have thought I was trying to erase the footage of my affair. I can't help but be amazed. My MIL, assuming I'm cheating, set up a drive recorder and cameras without confirming what's being recorded and is accusing me. Why does she doubt me so much and confidently assert that I'm cheating? Probably because I worked at a cabaret club during my university days. My parents weren't wealthy, and I worked at a cabaret club during my university days to earn my tuition. Although I was advised to take out a student loan, I declined because I heard it would take decades to repay. Being a university student cabaret girl was a good job. It might have a negative image in society. However, there were significant benefits unique to a student, managing to balance studies, learning about society, and being able to plan schedules around classes and club activities since work was at night and attendance days were flexible. Moreover, hearing the stories of men in their 40s and 50s provided an opportunity to learn about the workings of the economy and various industry situations. In fact, the knowledge gained as a cabaret girl is now helping me in my current job. When I started dating Mike, my husband, I was still a student working at the cabaret. He rescued me when a drunken customer tried to take me to a hotel. So, he knew that I used to be a cabaret girl when we started dating. After graduating from university, I work in a different department of the same company. Mike was cautious about revealing that I used to work at a cabaret club. You're not doing it now, so you don't need to mention it. I'll tell my parents when we get married. Hearing Mike's words, I thought it made sense, and I continued the relationship without disclosing my past as a cabaret girl. But wait a minute, Gina. Is it true that you worked in a nightclub? On the day I visited Mike's house before marriage, this was brought up when I was alone with my MIL. It's unthinkable for a woman like you to date my Mike. Break up right away. Wait a minute. I haven't done what you think. I worked at a cabaret club. I only entertained customers with drinks at the alcohol table. Shut up. You filthy woman. My MIL raised her voice hysterically and lunged at me. Just then, Mike returned. Hey, Mom. What are you doing? He stepped in between his mother and me, saying, calm down and explain the situation, and looked at us alternately. This woman worked in a nightclub, right? Did you know? Oh, a cabaret. I sat next to her, serving drinks while having various conversations. I knew. Then why didn't you tell me? Mike let out a deep sigh. Sigh. I knew it would come to this. But I was planning to talk about it at the right time. How did you find out? Well. My MIL stammered, trailing off at the end of her words. Nina said she wanted money, so she suggested working at a cabaret. She said she saw you in the all-time cabaret girls popularity ranking online. Nina is Mike's younger sister. She likes flashy things, and her boyfriends change frequently, fitting the image of the nightlife scene. Why is it okay for your daughter to want to be a cabaret girl, but it's not okay for others? Speaking in amazement, Mike countered his mother, who had sharpened her voice. I never said it was okay. How rude. But you haven't scolded her with such blatant prejudice, have you? Well, when Mike brought you, I thought you were a well-behaved young lady. It turns out you were deceiving us, being a dirty woman in the nightlife business. Gina is really responsible. She worked as a cabaret girl to earn tuition fees. Not to have fun like Nina. So, she didn't neglect her studies, quit as soon as she graduated, and even got a job in a regular company. She's more highly valued at work than I am. Upon hearing Mike's words, my MIL bit her lip, looking frustrated. On the other hand, I was deeply moved. He stood up for me when I was under attack. However, I was worried about the strained relationship with the person who might become my MIL. Just when I thought that marrying Mike might be difficult, he proposed. But won't your mom absolutely object? It's okay. Dad understood because he used cabarets for business entertainment. We persuaded them together, and they understood. Really? Absolutely. While I was skeptical, Mike was full of confidence. I couldn't shake off the anxiety, but still, I believed in Mike and nodded. After marriage, we planned to live with just the two of us. Mike was the second son, so we assumed that we'd live separately from his family. Although we weren't married yet, my older BIL had a fiancé. I assumed they would start living together at his parents' house once he got married. However, if we're going to live together, it should be at Mike's place. Surprisingly, my MIL, who had belittled me as a dirty woman, suggested that. I wondered what had caused this sudden change, but having gone against her objections and married Mike, I couldn't refuse. Mike, worriedly asking, "Are you okay?" I replied confidently that I was fine. Soon after, we began living with Mike's family. Living in wedded bliss with my MIL, FIL, and SAL Nina. By the way, Nina got married a little before us, but her husband was promptly sent on a business trip abroad right after the wedding. So, Nina stayed back at her parents' place. As Mike mentioned, my FIL was understanding and treated me kindly. Since I was used to conversing with older men, our talks were lively. However, it seemed my MIL didn't appreciate that aspect. "You're even deceiving Dad." I often heard such backbiting remarks. Among the neighbors, there were rumors circulating that I was a messy wife. They commented on my spending habits, pointing out the brand items I received during my cabaret days, insinuating that I was extravagant. Initially, Mike and my FIL defended me, but the shrewd MIL gradually started tormenting me out of their sight. "Hey, you. With such extravagant spending, you shouldn't have money. Entrust everything to me." Coming all the way to my room and saying such things, I was genuinely appalled. I'm not being wasteful. The brand items I have are not recent purchases. Besides, if I entrust anything, it'll be to Mike. You're manipulating Mike. Even if you entrust it, you'll soon beg for money and end up spending it anyway. So, let me take care of it. Also, didn't you go out drinking with a man recently? You really love men. He's my boss from work. If you have a job, sometimes you socialize. Isn't that normal? Making excuses. Anyway, entrust your money to me. Honestly, it was beyond belief. I'm not the type to spend much money. Even if I entrusted some of my salary, it wouldn't inconvenience me. So, I replied, I'm willing to entrust about half of my salary. But remember, it's still my money, so please don't spend it. Of course. What a rude woman you are. And so, every month, I started entrusting half of my salary to my MIL. Perhaps she didn't want Mike and my FIL to see. Each time, she came to my room to collect the money. My SAL Nina, on the other hand, was friendly towards me. Gina. She would come over cheerfully, asking about my cabaret days and seeking advice on her friendships. While I appreciated her friendliness, I couldn't help feeling uncomfortable as she spent more recklessly than I did, with no repercussions. Upon closer inspection, I realized she occasionally took my personal belongings without permission and used them. Initially, she would quietly take and return them, but eventually, she stopped returning them. My MIL's actions escalated over time. When I went out on holidays, she followed me. If I exchanged a few words with a man, she would take pictures, claiming it was evidence of infidelity. She would show these evidence to Mike and my FIL repeatedly, insisting, "That woman is cheating, and you should kick her out." I want to believe Gina. For the umpteenth time, when Mike was shown evidence of infidelity, he said with a powerless voice that contradicted his words. "But, Mom, the number of photos you bring is too many, isn't it? You meet men without telling me." "I would never do such a thing." In shock, I unintentionally interrupted him. "The photos your mother takes are of people who apologized when we bumped into them or asked for directions. I don't know any of them." "Yeah, sorry about that." Despite Mike's words, there was still no vigor in his voice, and it didn't feel like he truly believed me. Nina, believing my MIL stories, often said things like, "Gina, you're amazing, handling so many men." It seemed like these words were pushing Mike to the edge. The boast of my MIL claiming to have caught evidence of an affair occurred during such a tumultuous period in our lives. Finally, I've got undeniable proof of Gina's affair. Saying this, my MIL gathered my FIL, Mike, and Nina to watch hidden camera footage together. I knew everyone was suspicious of me. Due to my MIL's outrageous behavior, even Mike started wondering if I was cheating. However, just as my MIL insisted on having evidence, I, who had done nothing wrong, had absolute confidence. I alone knew that a shocking video would play, greatly betraying my MIL's expectations. MIL pressed the play button. The screen instantly displayed the scene inside a car, and everyone gasped, except me. What was captured on screen was Nina, in a compromising situation with a man, dressed provocatively. Yes, I was the only one who noticed. The so-called men's belongings my MIL mentioned didn't belong to the family but were the possessions of Nina's affair partner. "What? Wait, what's going on?" In a panicked tone, my MIL spoke. She repeatedly pressed the remote. Perhaps due to her confusion, her fingers didn't navigate the buttons well, and the chaotic image of Nina remained on the TV. Nina's voice echoed in the room. "Stop it! Turn it off!" Nina shouted with a voice on the verge of tears. "Why is this happening? Seriously? You deleted the footage from the dashcam, though?" When I spoke, everyone turned to look at me. After clearing my throat, I continued. "Earlier, MIL never mentioned that this video was from a hidden camera. You were off guard, right? You deleted the footage of your affair, so only mine is showing." Nina, with a despairing expression, turned her gaze towards my MIL. "Why hidden cameras? This is awful. It's not voyeurism. If you wanted to film me cheating, you should have told me. And why didn't you check what was being recorded? I can't believe this." Anger appeared on Mike's face, which had been dumbfounded until then. "What the hell? Gina is okay with being a victim of hidden cameras, but you're not okay with it happening to you? Don't mess around." "It's fine, Mike," I said and continued. "Moreover, Nina, the data from the dashcam is usually saved on a regular memory card, so even if you delete it, it can be restored. The dashcam was acting up, and I noticed you were deleting, so I had it restored during repairs. So, Nina, your affair footage is also on the dashcam. And, of course, naturally, my footage, even if restored, doesn't exist. I haven't cheated." Nina looked at me with teary eyes. "Why would you do something so cruel to me, Gina? We were getting along so well. Normally, you wouldn't just steal from a close friend. Besides, you guys have been saying I was cheating, right? In a relationship based on mutual respect, we wouldn't do such things, right? If it happened, it's only natural to be upset, isn't it? Stealing. I didn't do that." Nina desperately argued, but such lies wouldn't work. "You did. There's solid evidence. Also, I've had a hidden camera in my room for a long time." For a long time. At those words, my MIL tensed up. Spontaneously, a smile creeps onto my face. "Did you notice?" "Yes, that's right. The footage captures you coming to my room, accusing me of being extravagant and demanding that I hand over my salary. Also, your monthly visits to collect my salary are there too." My MIL's face quickly turns crimson. That's because you're squandering money. I was keeping it safe for you. Then where is the money you claim to have kept for me? There was no comeback to my retort. My MIL, still red-faced, grits her teeth in frustration. I know. While you were following me, I was also tailing you when you went out. And guess what? You entered a host club. Moreover, several times a week. Needed money for those host visits, didn't you? Is that the truth? You, criticizing Gina for working at a cabaret, were spending money on host clubs? For the first time, my FIL speaks. He stares at my MIL, pleading with his eyes. She lowers her head. Well, not exactly true, or rather, I might have done that, but... Gina, can I see the footage from the hidden camera in your room? My FIL interrupts, and my MIL reacts as if struck. There's no need for that. Besides, using hidden cameras is a cowardly method. You did it too, Mom. Mike says with a sigh. And, Mom, you put hidden cameras in the car everyone uses, followed Gina around, and took pictures. Gina only put a camera in her own room. Which one do you think is more cowardly? Again, my MIL seemed at a loss for words. Later, I went to the room with my FIL to retrieve the camera and check the footage. There, Nina stealing my belongings, demanding my salary, and my MIL actually coming to collect money, all captured. I truly apologize. After confirming the footage, my FIL lowers his head. Even when I tell him to lift it, he doesn't. Mike also lowers his head next to my FIL and apologizes. I was messed up. Honestly, I should have stopped Mom from following you and taking pictures. But my own insecurities got in the way. I'm sorry. Mike raises his head and, with an anxious look, asks, is it okay if a messed up guy like me remains your husband? Of course. Don't be silly. I say, and Mike finally smiles. After that, my MIL was told by my FIL to return the money to me, and it seems she was even presented with the prospect of divorce. I don't have money, and you're going to abandon me! Cried my MIL, but my FIL's determination was firm, and eventually, it led to divorce. Now, she works full-time to repay the money and living expenses. She probably doesn't have time to visit host clubs anymore. Nina was kicked out of this house and reportedly said goodbye to her husband, who was on a business trip abroad. However, she never liked being tied to one man in the first place, so it didn't seem to bother her much. On the other hand, it was challenging for her to repay the amounts for the branded items she stole from me. Although she started working as a cabaret hostess as she had longed for, perhaps due to her lack of intelligence and naivety, she hasn't earned much, with no customers. Recently, there have been rumors about her transitioning into a full-fledged sex worker, but nothing is clear. She seems desperate to earn money. As for me, I live happily with Mike and my FIL in their home. The conversations with the older men continue to be lively, and we often laugh together, with Mike saying, "Include me too." Life is good.